had 27 in the first game, and I said, I can do this every night.
I'm not trying to sound arrogant and cocky because that's not who I am, but I don't think there's one guy that can stop me.
So, don't look now, but there's a new team atop ESPN.com's power rankings, and that team is the Milwaukee Bucks. You see the order: Warriors, Raptors, Nuggets, Thunder round out the top 5. Let's take it to the table. Jalen Rose. Our basketball power index tells us that Milwaukee would be favored, at least in their minds, against Golden State in a 7-game series, regardless of which team has home court advantage. Which is the best team in the NBA, Milwaukee or Golden State?
The Golden State Warriors, the team that are going for their,
third straight championship in fourth in 5 years. We know that. That's history. How about right now and into the immediate future?
Right now, the Golden State Warriors have to be my choice because the thing we aren't talking about a lot, we saw KD do his amazing crossover early. Clay's having a breakthrough season. Steph Curry is having an epic year. He's shooting so efficient from the floor, in particular from 3, and leading this basketball team. Multiple games where he's made at least 10 3-pointers. They have multiple guys in the playoffs that I've seen do it. I hope that the Bucks get there with Middleton and Brogdon and Bledsoe and Lopez, and maybe this will be their breakthrough. But I've seen the Golden State Warriors' body of work. I have to say they're the best team in basketball.
Yeah, 12-1 in the last 13 games. And like you mentioned, who do you choose to stop? How do you scheme to stop them? We talk about how playoff defense is different, right? And everybody's saying, well, you can't have James Harden doing what he does because in the playoffs, they're going to defend those on-ball screens differently. They're going to force him, kind of like the Hawks did last night, into taking some bad shots, lower percentage, and having to give the ball up. Well, if the Warriors are giving the ball up, which when they're at their best and they're playing playoff basketball, that's what they're doing. They're giving it up to another all-star that can score 30 or 40 points on a given night. And for me, there's no doubt the Golden State Warriors are the best team in the NBA.
I think there's too many all-stars on the Warriors team at the end of the day. Like you said, you can't take one away. And then also you have to give some credence to this idea that there's experience there. I think we've been talking about it with the Lakers. Like, there's just not enough experience to make a playoff push. And so the Warriors have all the experience in the world of these 7-game series and all the pressure that comes along with it. And here's what they're going to talk about. And you and KD's going to the Knicks and all this other stuff, where the Bucks haven't had to deal with that. And I would not take them in a 7-game series against the Warriors because of that.
I will throw this on the table. And certainly if you made me bet an amount of money that mattered to me on the outcome of that series, I would bet it on Golden State. I'm not crazy. But what I would say is this. The best players on the Warriors historically have not always been at their best in those biggest moments. Last year, if Chris Paul doesn't get hurt, the Rockets beat them in a conference final that they had no business winning. And the truth of the matter is they were just so much more talented than Cleveland in the finals the last couple of years that they were going to overcome them no matter what. LeBron was basically playing by himself out there. This cast around the Greek Freak, while no one knows their names, is way better than the players that were around LeBron James in the finals last year. So if you put those best players on the Warriors up against a wall and make them play big in big moments, I'm interested to see if they do it.
Like you said to me, that's history. And last year's Cavs team does not make it out of the East this year because those teams have elevated and gotten better in that conference.
Milwaukee's better than them without question.
And
yes?
Steph Curry, while he hasn't been a finals MVP, that doesn't say that Kevin Durant hasn't been terrific in those moments because he has. He's been back-to-back finals MVP. So what happens in the playoffs
But he was so much better. See, he was so much better than the team that he was playing. When you go back, and I understand, now I told you not to bring history into this, and I just did. But if you go back historically, in big moments where these games are close and everything matters, it has not always been his best time. Go back to OKC.
Oh, okay, so who from Milwaukee has been at their best?
Well, no one's been there. They haven't had a chance to be there. We'll
exactly. So hopefully, again, I want to see your Bucks and Giannis, who I feel like has a great chance to be MVP, have a breakthrough year.
Sure.
Maybe this is going to be it. Before we start comparing them to the Warriors, how about they win the East first?
Okay.
That's going to be a gauntlet in itself.
Giannis, who is the MVP. I corrected him. All right, let's run the floor. Jalen, you and me, let's go.
Let's get it.
Start with Karl Anthony Towns, who returned to the court for the first time after being injured in a serious car accident last week. Towns, who said he was lucky to be alive, had one of the best games of the season, 34 points, 21 rebounds, 5 assists in the T-Wolves win. How impressive is that given all the circumstances?
Truly impressive. And thank you for bringing up the car accident because so many times in sports you're able to take things for granted. Here's a guy that was driving to meet his team at the airport, got into a car accident, and actually missed a couple of games because he was in concussion protocol.
Yeah.
So for him to be back out there performing is a victory in itself. I'm glad to see him do well.
Yeah, we're all glad to see you do well, Karl-Anthony Towns, and that's a great game for him in the win after getting back from the injury. Let's talk about the Suns, though, because they snapped a team record 17-game losing streak with a 124-121 win at the Heat, and Devin Booker said, "It feels like we're out. It feels like we're in prison." What do you make of those comments?
It sounds like a guy that hasn't been in the playoffs.
Okay.
Recommitted to sign long-term with the team because financially that's probably the best decision. They draft Ayton, they draft Jackson. You try to build through the draft, and these players have been productive but not knockouts. So it's frustrating for a guy that can be a star in this league to not be able to play on the big stage.
All right, still interesting comments. I mean, I would really hope that when you're making millions of dollars, you don't feel like you're in anybody's prison. Anthony Davis had 18 points and 6 rebounds in 21 minutes last night, but sat out the entire fourth quarter. And the Pelicans lost by 1, Jalen.
I don't like this for the game. I was always a person that didn't like when healthy players miss basketball games. Now when you have one of the top players in the game, obviously not playing in fourth quarters, you know what that does? It affects outcomes. And guess what all sporting events have in common? A betting line. And so this becomes something that just is ugly for the league. I hope they find a way to rectify this.
All right, well, the league is forcing AD to stay in there and play, so I feel like it's a conversation we should have with all of our former professional athletes.
Absolutely. I mean, it's candidly, it's ridiculous. And I understand why the NBA has taken the position that it has. It has a rule about not playing healthy stars. And there is it isn't the same thing to just say he's not playing versus when the Knicks weren't playing Enes Kanter and things like that. Anthony Davis is one of the faces of the league. I understand the league's position. But this situation has gotten completely away from everyone. I want to bring it out to a different sport. Josh, I mean, is this a circumstance you could imagine yourself in football where all of a sudden the game is being played out and they're taking your better players off the field because they don't want to win?
Listen, I've been there. I was in a game late in the season at one point in my career, and all of a sudden we start pulling guys off the field, specifically linemen and stuff like that. And as a quarterback, these guys are leaving the field. You're like, wait a minute, because now you start getting hit in the face, and the game's no longer fun. So I think about the players in this situation and the guys out there in the heat of battle, because you're out there to compete to win, no matter if it's the last game of the season, the first game of the season. And when this thing starts to happen, to your point, Jalen, it kind of speaks to the integrity of the game a little bit, and it disrupts the locker room.
I would take it even a step further than just the players aspect. How about from the fans' perspective? How about for the fans? I mean, part of sports at the professional level is the entertainment aspect of it. That's why they're able to charge the astronomical prices that they charge. You're not giving a discount to the fans when you're choosing to discount the minutes that you're playing somebody out on the floor, or you're purposefully hoping and putting effort into the fact of, we want to lose. And so from that perspective, I think that this is something that should be addressed. And how to address it, I don't have the answer to that. But I do know this, that if I was a fan and I'm sitting courtside and I'm spending $4,000 for 2 tickets to watch the Knicks play right now, I'm upset. If I'm watching the Lakers, if they choose to go down, then I'm upset. As you know, you get LeBron James, so you can be happy about that.
But the Lakers are trying to win.
But the Phoenix Suns,
the Lakers are trying
the Bulls.
to win. There is a problem. And we must credit the NBA. They have tried to take at least a step in the direction of rectifying this problem. They've changed, for those of you who are not aware, they've changed the draft lottery rules to a certain degree now. The worst 3 teams in the league will have the same chance of getting the first pick in the draft. So it's not just a race all the way to the worst record in the sport. But that, at the end of the day, is a Band-Aid on a much bigger problem, in my opinion. They need to figure out, and this goes to all sports. It's a huge problem in baseball right now, by the way. Tanking is anathema to everything that sports is supposed to be, and until we come to a time where we stop incentivizing losing in all sports, this problem will not be solved.
But also, media and fans can't be hypocritical. Because when I watch Philadelphia play, all I hear people cheering about is the process.
Right, because the system is set up where it makes sense to do it. I'm not arguing with that. They need to change the system.
I agree with you, and it does happen in baseball. It's happening in football, but this is a unique circumstance because the Pelicans didn't come into this season hoping to tank.
Right.
Remember, they made the playoffs last year and swept the 3-seed Portland Trail Blazers. They were hoping to build on last year. But when your best player in the unique circumstances says he doesn't want to be there anymore, we're not going to argue about J.R. Smith being benched by the Cavs this year.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about Anthony Davis because he's a great player.
You guys are basically just talking about the letter of the law and the spirit of the law. And the spirit of it is to obviously keep players on the court so that fans can enjoy it. But we're not talking about the AD situation here. And I think that maybe an exception could be made to that rule, especially for this circumstance. All right, tomorrow on NBA Wednesday's doubleheader, we've got a pretty good one coming your way. Boston with a great point guard matchup. We got Kyrie, we got Dame Lillard, Trailblazers, and the Celtics. Then it's off to Staples Center for LeBron and the Lake Show. They're going to try to avenge that loss to the Pelicans, who are trying to lose.
Lakers by 12.
Okay, by 12. He's already calling it. You can watch it on ESPN or the ESPN app starting at 7. Let's talk about a little bit of eye candy, guys. And let's keep it in the NBA. Mavericks at Clippers, under 10 seconds left. Doc Rivers calls a timeout at the Staples Center so that they can salute Dirk one last time.
Dirk Nowitzki. Let's go.
That's a cool moment.
How awesome is that?
A class gesture on a big-time stage, especially from a Clippers organization that has never retired a number. Have 0 statues in front of the Staples Center.
Shout out to Dirk. Okay, FIBA. Argentina up 1. You saw it with 1 second to play. The inbound and the shot is good. Awesome buzzer beater there by Reggie Hearn, who throws up the corner 3, and USA wins 84-83.
Reggie Hearn from Northwestern was a walk-on at Northwestern and has now made himself into a player who just hit that shot for Team USA.
We did not do that specifically so that Greeny could talk about Northwestern basketball. Coming up, we are going to let Greeny talk about golf. Will Tiger Woods win a major this year? We will find out as Greeny answers the question next.